Hey VC, how you doing? This is Christian down here in Santiago, Chile, doing this very late. I'm sorry, Scott from No Solution. I know you nominated me to jump on this thread challenge to show one album per decade. Um, Sorry, I did not watch your my nomination early because I was doing some stuff and I completely missed about it, forgot about it. But sorry, here I'm doing this one. It's a really cool one, but it's also a little bit challenging to just pick up one album from one decade. So I was kind of struggling with whatever I'm going to choose, but anyway, it's going to be just one per decade. It's not going to be that tough, but it is. So I decided to just pick up CDs because they're easier to pick up from the collection and going through my data. So I decided to rank, do some kind of ranking or decide no, yes, I'm going to pick up this one, no, maybe that one. So I end up going from the 60s to this decade. And yes, I decided to change a little bit things, not try not to go with the obvious one, but at the end we'll end up going with the obvious one. And in some cases yes, and some cases maybe I try to change it a little bit. So without further stop talking about this one from the 60s, the one and only, the guy that to me defines 60s because he made a huge impact. Yes, it's Jimmy with the Electric Ladyland. This to me screams, shouts, and shows everything that the 60s was all about. Yes, as you might know, I'm not a big, I'm just a casual or a little bit fan of the Beatles, so they're not going to be here. I was tempted to show the Stones, but I decided not this time. I'm going to go with the good and still miss Jimmy, and with Electric Ladyland, an awesome album. We all know this guy, so let's go for the 60s. For the 70s, one of my favorite bands from the 70s started really early, and still hope they're going strong. I'm hoping that they get back together to do some live gigs, live shows. They put out an album a couple of years ago. Yes, this is my favorite album from the 70s. It's AC/DC with Power Age, a super underrated album with lots of cool songs. Maybe the classic lineup, of course, the classic lineup from the 70s with Bon Scott and Cliff Williams, Phil Rudd, and the and the Young Brothers. With one of my favorite songs here, Rock and Roll the Nation, Gun Shooting, Sin City, Give Me a Bullet, Down Payment Blues. Awesome album. This is Power Age from 76, I think, if I'm correct. If I'm not, please correct me in the comment section. 60s, 80s. My era, my decade, my favorite decade of music, without a doubt. So this time I'm going to kind of cheating a little bit because this is a kind of a double album, but it's not a double. It's not a double album. This is from my favorite band from the Spanish heavy metal scene. It's Balón Rojo and Volumen Brutal. This is the album they recorded first in English, first in Spanish and then in English. So this is the one that has both versions. First part is in Spanish, and the second part of it is in English. The only thing that it's not in English, of course, is the instrumental. It's the last song. Where it is? It's Balón Rojo, of course. That's an instrumental, and it only appears on the Spanish part of the disc. So here we have Balón Rojo, Volumen Brutal in Spanish and in English. 90s. I was going to go with one of my favorite bands, but I decided to change it a little bit and go with this one that had a big impact in the early 90s, and it opened a door for this kind of music that was left kind of underground, not as grindcore or death or black metal. But this type of music was really not well seen and received by the general public or the media back in the day. But when Dream Theater came out with Images and Words, suddenly progressive rock, progressive metal was cool again, and they created kind of a new way of making this music, adding to progressive the heaviness of the 80s early bands like Metallica, Rush, even some thrash elements, adding heaviness to the progressive way music was known until these guys appeared. And of course, a huge change and a huge improvement in the band was the adding of James LeBray on vocals. So from the 90s, I'm going to go with Dream Theater and Images and Words. From the 2000s, yes, this one because it's a band from the 80s that nobody was seeing them coming back. They had a big breakup a couple of times with their lead singer, and no one was thinking about this band getting back together and finding a suitable replacement for such a charismatic, iconic, and unique voice. This is the comeback from 2010, and it's Accept with Blood of the Nations. Oh, yes, it's kind of, I don't know, Mark whatever for Accept, but it's the kind of reunion band with Wolf Hoffman, Peter Baltes on bass, two classic members of the band. They had also Herman Frank and Stefan Kaufmann Stefan Schwartzman on drums, and then they found out a guy from New Jersey, I think, or from the States, Mark Tornillo, or Tornillo, if you like to pronounce it, guy that used to sing in a band named Titi Quick, and all of a sudden they got back together and still making good music till now. They're still putting excellent music. This is Blood of the Nation, a big comeback from the band that no one was expecting them to get back and putting out some quality music in these days. So it goes from the 2010s, from the 2000. It's from the 2010. Accept and Blood of the Nations. Next, this one is from 20. I can see a damn thing, but it's from 20. I don't know, but it's a cool one of the good ones from another classic band from the big four of the thrash metal. It's Megadeth and Endgame. This is a really good one. I really like this one very much. This one was, I think they played it on live during the Big Four reunion live tour they did, and they sounded great. I like the songs very much, and it's a really good one from the later catalog of Dave and the guys. So there it goes, Dave Mustaine and Megadeth Endgame. And finally, one from a couple of years ago. I don't have a lot of things from this decade. I'm being very picky about what things I'm adding lately, newer stuff. But this is from my favorite band. This is the last thing they have released. It may not be their best album, but it's Maiden, it's Senjutsu, and it's a double album. It will be an awesome opportunity to listen to this more and more, and I admire and try to understand what the band is doing in these days. Of course, they are not the band they used to be in the 80s or in the 90s, but it's still Maiden. It's still one of the best bands around. They still do live gigs, tour all around the world. They still sold out stadiums all over the world. I think, to me, they are the biggest heavy metal band in the world. without question. So from this decade, I'm going to go with Maiden and the latest release. Let's hope what they are going to do in next year. They are teasing they are going to do a couple of cool things, but this is my from this decade. It's Iron Maiden and Senjutsu. So that's it. That's my response to Scott of No Solution. I'm not going to nominate any other guy because it's I think maybe this thread is no longer being taking part. But if you like to do your response, it will be more than well. It will be more than appreciated. This is Christian down here in Santiago. Oh, I'm going to leave it to this thread. So maybe you can to this fair challenge. So maybe you can jump on this and do your response. So this is Christian again down here in Santiago, Chile, saying goodbye till next time.